A judge declares a mistrial in the Nogales Rancher murder case. If you don't know, if you aren't paying close attention, if you haven't seen a lot of this, I want you to hear a little bit about this. This is Alex Stone from ABC News, and the basics about a rancher in southern Arizona accused of murder.
George Kelly is a 75-year-old rancher who lives along the U.S.-Mexico border. He was charged with second-degree murder and aggravated assault for shooting and killing a 48-year-old migrant who was on his property in 2023. The migrant was in a group that ran when they saw Border Patrol agents about 150 yards away. Kelly allegedly used his AK-47 to fire at the migrants, killing the man. The defense claimed Kelly was protecting himself and his wife and only fired warning shots.
And so that was the defense. Now, you got to remember, the prosecution has to prove that you've done something wrong. You don't have to prove your innocence. But in their defense, what the Kellys said was, we were in fear for our lives. We heard a shot. He responded with warning shots from his porch. He never fired a gun at anyone, nor did they ever find a bullet that killed anyone that matched his gun. So he said he didn't shoot at anyone. Specifically, he saw people on his land dressed in camouflage with backpacks, which led him to believe, with much of his experience with his years of being a rancher at that part of Arizona, that there was drug traffic and rip crews. If you don't know what a rip crew is, I will tell you it is one of the things that law enforcement is most fearful of. Rip crews are rival gangs that rip each other off. You think they don't have any concern for the human traffic they're bringing across? They have no concern for human life whatsoever. So they will get the drop on a rival crew that is muling drugs into the country. Maybe they've got money, whatever they have, and they will wait and they will ambush them and they will steal everything from them. They get very violent. It is an all-out war. It's like a gang war in our streets, but it's happening along the border in southern Arizona. Now, the prosecution said that Border Patrol and law enforcement didn't find any evidence at that time of rip crews in the area, although it happens at the border very regularly. Again, the assumption is that Mr. Kelly is innocent until proven guilty. They never found a bullet that killed this guy that matched his gun, or I don't think they ever found the bullet that killed him anyway. The rancher said, I fired into the air as a warning shot because we heard shots in our home. They feel like prisoners in their own home. They're isolated. They're in the middle of nowhere. Law enforcement isn't close by, which is why they own a gun. Again, not a rare thing. And we're not talking about a hunting rifle. We're talking about an AR-15 or an AK-47, whatever he had, a semi-automatic rifle. If you talk to ranchers, and I've talked to many of them at the southern part of the state of Arizona, when they ride their land, a rifle is a part of what they carry. Because many times they're first responders. When they find people, they're at death's doorstep. They have a first aid kit. They carry gallons of water because they find groups of people many times that have been abandoned by human traffickers. So what they do is they protect human life. They give them water if necessary, food if necessary, first aid if necessary. Then they call in the Border Patrol and they call in the authorities to get them to a hospital to get them well. So let's take away, first of all, the idea, and this is the question why you would have to ask, and this is why the question I would have to ask. Why would a rancher who has been living in Arizona for as long as he has, on that land for as long as he has, why would he shoot at someone that was over 100 yards away from him? He has a 170-acre ranch. The person that they found dead hours later was well over 100 yards from his house. Why all of a sudden would a 70-something-year-old man open fire from his patio at someone and then call the police, call the authorities? That first question, why, is a big hill to climb. It makes a lot more sense as they said they heard a shot. And their belief is, the defense belief is, this was some kind of a confrontation between rivals and possibly a rip crew. That is a reasonable thing. And the jury's a hung jury. They could not come to a unanimous decision. It wasn't a not guilty, but it was a hung jury. So now the government has to decide in that county, Santa Cruz County, they have to decide whether or not they want to go to the expense to retrying this case. Will they put him on trial again? I'm certainly not in favor. I don't care if you've committed a crime, that doesn't mean you deserve to die. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you also can't demonize or convict somebody because you have an assumption on the other side of this of why they would do something. The idea in your mind that ranchers have a bloodlust and they want to hurt people, I think is a false narrative. Just like it's the other side of it, the other side would be just because they're crossing the border illegally doesn't mean they are there with drugs. They may just be people looking for work. You're 100% right about that. You're 100% right. Assuming that they are there and they are murderous or they are dangerous is a poor assumption. Just like assuming that this rancher was looking to hurt somebody is a poor assumption. So now let's deal with the facts. They never found a bullet connecting this guy's gun to anything. He said he shot into the air. They called the authorities. And he said he was afraid for his wife and his family. Even with that being said, he never leveled the gun at a person and shot at them. So how do you get a conviction out of that? The bigger implications, though, and the bigger question is about the insecurity at our border, the lack of border security. There's a story in front of me that says experts say that even if you secure the border, even if you fortify the border, people are still going to come. And that's 100% correct. So what has to be is a combination of two things. The likelihood that you're not going to gain access to the U.S. if you come to the border is one deterrent. And the other is that if you do get access to the U.S. and you're able to cross into the U.S., we have tougher restrictions on how you can file for or ask for asylum. And it's going to be a much higher standard, and there isn't going to be a long wait time. There's going to be an initial confrontation or consultation where you are going to be asked a series of questions that you're going to have to answer yes or no to all of those questions. And if you don't have the right answer to all of the above, you are sent back across the border and you are going to deal with it from the Remain in Mexico policy. It does two things. Number one, it puts the onus back on the nation of Mexico, because now you've got people living in shanty towns inside your country. So you are now a lot less likely to allow them to get all the way to your northern border, our southern border. But it also sends a message around the world that we have a big wide door, that we want as many good people to come to this country and thrive in the American system as we possibly can get. And we want that to be what we stand for. But we will no longer convolute legal and illegal immigration. If you're doing it the wrong way, you're going to be sent back. If you do it the right way, we're going to make it as easy as we possibly can to vet you and welcome you into this country. What am I saying that is outrageous? What am I saying that's xenophobic? The answer is nothing. But if you think that just is building a wall or doing something in that regard is going to solve the problem, I agree with you. It will not. It's got to have, along with it, policies in place that say to people, if you are somehow able to get through that wall, over that wall, under that wall, around that wall, whatever it is, and you make it in, and you approach somebody from the federal government and say, I'm here because I'm claiming asylum, you're not necessarily going to get the access you're looking for.
Thanks for watching The Mike Broomhead Show. Tap to watch the first season of Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast. You can also click the button in the middle to subscribe.